Thank you so much for the wonderful introduction, ma'am. Very good afternoon, everybody. I am excited to welcome you to my presentation for today, OXIS Contacts, a 3-year journey. The flow of the presentation will be as below. We'll first have a look at the goal of the presentation, and then we'll recap with a little bit of basics. And then we'll move into the core of the presentation, which is the prospective cohort study. We'll see whether we had to do any deviations from our original proposal, what was the outcome achieved, and a few tips which we call as the secret of success for a prospective cohort, and finally the take home. The goal of today's presentation, although many studies have been done with OXIS, will be only the 3-year prospective cohort study, which was done in a population in Pondicherry. So that will be our goal, what we did, how we recruited, and what was done during the on-field work, and what was the outcome. So before we do that, let's get our basics right. So let's review the literature a little bit about OXIS. So the first evidence of OXIS was when the classification was proposed when a study was done in 2018 using 76 CBCT images. So that's when the CBCT images were studied for all the levels, that is apical, middle and cervical, and we understood that there are 4 types that were present. The next study was again OXIS contacts, which was done on CBCT images, but this time in a different population, the South Korean. And an important conclusion of this study was that the contacts are present only at the occlusal level predominantly, which is in contrast to our traditional information, which says that the contacts are broad, flat, and situated gingivally. Further, in this study, we also compared the contacts using CBCT images and clinical photographs, and we concluded that that was 95% correlation. The first clinical confirmation of OXIS contacts was done in a study which was published in Pediatric Dentistry in 2020, where a cohort was recruited from Pondicherry. The number was 1,119 children who were all caries free when they were recruited, who had 4,476 contacts. Now, this is going to be the cohort which we followed up for our prospective cohort study. So we're going on talking about OXIS. What is OXIS actually? So OXIS actually stands for 4 different types of contacts. The first contact is called as open contact, hence it's denoted as O. The next one is point contact, as you can see, hence it's denoted as X. The third contact is a broad contact. When the surface area is more than 1.5 mm, it's called as an eye contact. And S is a curved contact when the surface area is more than 1.5 mm again. So although we have evidence with OXIS contacts, the prevalence part in different populations, we did not know the application of it, that is it a risk factor for proximal caries development? So our research question was, are the broad contacts, that is INS, more susceptible to proximal caries when compared to the open and the narrow contact, which is X? Hence, we designed a prospective cohort study because we wanted causal effect. And this prospective cohort went on for 3 years. So for the on-field work, we did this entire process. We recruited a few doctors who could do the clinical examination of caries using IC-DAS, which was our outcome. We trained them. Then we went to the schools in person, which were recruited, and we scheduled appointments prior. And we also told them what we would need. So the follow-up was performed at 12 months, 24 months, 36 months. Remember, at recruitment, we took 1,119 caries-free children. So for data collection, as you can see, we performed clinical examination at schools, and whenever there was an underlying dentinal shadow, a gray shadow, and we were not sure about the presence or absence of caries, we made a bite wing radiograph as you can see in the top picture on the right, using a portable X-ray machine and a digital scanner again, which was portable. We did all of this in the schools itself. Further, to adjust for confounders like oral hygiene, dietary habits, we also took a questionnaire. So the questionnaire was filled by the parents as they accompanied the children to the schools, and if they were illiterate, then we assisted them with the same. We also made impressions of all the children who we followed up, because the impressions were the only sources of records that we had. Because when we recruited them, they were just 3 years old. We could not make clinical photographs at the school premises. So that was what we did for the first follow up at 12 months. But 24 months and 34 months, we had a new challenge to conquer, which was COVID 19, which was not expected at all. Hence, we had to make a few deviations from our original proposal, because all the children were not coming to the school, and especially at private level, the the decision to come to schools was with the parent. So we added clinic visits and home visits, which would make them more comfortable. So we took private space from clinics, and we asked permission if the parents could bring the children to the clinic so that they knew what we were exactly doing. And if that was not possible, we asked them permission for a home visits with all necessary precautions. And of course, the questionnaire data also was collected. So images showing clinical examination at the home visits and school visits during the 24 months and 36 months follow-up. Here what you can see is the sheet, where we segregated according to colors as per the parents' preference, whether they wanted a home visit or a clinic visit, a school visit, or it was colored as red when they were not interested to get back. So during COVID, this was how the children were made to sit with all necessary precautions. This is in one of the schools. So now that we've completed our data collection, we need to know what happened at the end of it, right? We need to know the outcome. So the outcome is going to be shown to you in the form of models. So for example, we're going to show to you each type of contact. And these contacts are of one child at baseline, 12 months, 24 months, and then 36 months. So this is for O contact, and as you can see, they are caries free. The contact of this child has been caries free from baseline through till 36 months. This is a depiction of an X or a point contact. As you can see again, from baseline till 36 months, the child has been caries free. Depiction of an eye contact, a straight contact, where you can see that the child is caries free till 24 months, but at 36 months there is caries both at distal of D and mesial of E, and the destruction is quite gross. This is the depiction of an S contact. If you can see closely, at 24 months itself, the distal of D has become carious. And because the child did not come back to us for treatment, both the mesial of E and the distal of E has got destructed at the end of 36 months. So moving on to the results section, what did we actually have? From 4476 contacts, we had 3848 contacts of 962 children. And as you can see, the S contact was found to be the most susceptible to proximal caries development, with an odds of 23 times more with an S when compared to that of an O. With an eye contact, the odds was 13.4, almost 13.5 times when compared to that of an O contact. With X contact, it was only 2 times when compared to that of an O. And there was a significance present with both I and S contacts, as is visible. So the rationale for this is quite logical. As you can see in the picture, the S contact, there is a concave morphology followed by a convex, which obviously would retain a lot of plaque. And the bristles with our regular toothbrushing methods for mechanical cleansing is quite questionable in these areas. So at the end of our study, we can say that OXIS was or is a risk factor for proximal caries development, and the contact which was most susceptible was S contact with an odds of 23, which was followed by the eye contact. So, if the similar methodology is carried out in different ethnic populations, and if OXIS contact is found to be a risk factor, then the International Caries Risk Assessment Protocol may require modifications considering the variations of tooth contacts as an additional risk factor for proximal caries. So next, if any of you want to do a prospective cohort study, let's see what the tips for success should be. This is not pertaining to the results, but this is pertaining to the development of the proposal and how we conducted the study. So whenever we recruit schools, it's always important to develop a one-on-one connection with everybody who's involved in the prospective cohort, with the doctors who helped us on field, with the dentists who provided us their space, with the teachers of the children who we recruited, of course the parents who consented to the entire study and who need to know what's actually going on with their child, the principals of the schools who gave us permission, and the deputy inspector of schools who were above them who also had to know what was going on, especially in the COVID situation. And definitely every child of the 1119 children, it's very important to develop an individual connect with each of them so that they remember you and they actually know when you're going to come back and what you're going to do. So on field, I definitely have to say it was all the doctors without whom this wouldn't have been possible. And then of course the children's parents, the individual teachers, the deputy inspector of schools and the team. Off field, I have to thank all my mentors, Dr. M.S. Muthu sir, who has been the visionary and who has been error correcting me from the start till the end. Dr. Vijay Mathur sir, who is my mentor, who has been giving me inputs every month on this project. Dr. Justin Lee, who is our external sponsor and who made it possible for all the research that was possible in Seoul. Dr. Kailvari ma'am, who is my co-guide. Dr. Praveen Rajesh, who helped us with the photography of all the models during all the 3 years. And Dr. Naveen sir, who is my co-guide too. Of course, have to thank my entire family with away because I had to be away from them during every follow-up at least for a month and a half. So they used to help with things around here. My husband, Dr. Praveen, who used to be here and who used to manage everything for my son. So I should really thank them. Without a very understanding family, probably this kind of research would not be possible. So the take home message is two. The first thing is that the S contact is most susceptible to proximal caries development because of its concave convex morphology, followed by the eye contact. And in a prospective cohort study, you have to maintain an individual connection at every level. So before I thank you all, I have to thank my little one who has also been growing along with the 1119 children that I recruited all the way from 2018 till date. So thank you. Thank you, Jiansh. So with that, I conclude my presentation. Thank you so much for a patient listening. And yeah, thank you so much.